What's up, Sean?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm alive. How are you?
I'm alive.
Oh,
Tired. Ah,
I've been consistent with onboarding on generative AI. I've been consistent, man. I'm going to start coding likely probably by next weekend. I'm probably going to start coding.
oh, cool. Cool. So, what have you learned?
Uh, where do I start?
I don't know.
So, the way that generative AI works or machine learning works in general is very similar to how we learn. We learn based on how we relate things that we see and things that we hear. So, for example, I could say, no matter what you do right now at this very moment, don't ever think about a pink dinosaur. First thing you think about is a pink dinosaur. And the relationship is no matter what, pink, dinosaur, never, ever. Um, and so all these words, especially the relationship of what precedes it and what comes after it, this all could be computed into a a statistical probability of what could come next. And so you load in a whole bunch of books or documents, and it just increases the probability or likelihood or confidence of what's the next word to be predicted given a phrase. And the way that generative AI works is it generates a word um, one phrase at a time, or one sequence of tokens at a time, one sequence of words at a time, whether it's just one word in a sequence, and then that generates the next predicted word, and then that's now you have two words in that particular sequence, and that feeds as input to the next word prediction. And that's how generative AI works. And the way that it works is based off of having a vocabulary, which is essentially, you think about like just a list of words. And then uh, you have like this thing called embedding, in which embedding is a vector or a number of columns specific or that are mapped to a particular word that has weights or values
Hmm.
that in which each value column that map to that one word. Remember, you have a whole bunch of columns that map to a single word or token. They they'll have a weight or a number to it, and then usually you have to run a function that will add a weight or basically take sum up all those different columns with the numbers that they have or values that they have in each column that we call a weight, in which it has to add up to one. And because it has to add up to one, then we're able to, one is the same thing as 100%, right? And so now you have the probability, each column or each value in a column has a probability to it, given other words or phrases that are associated to that one token or word that you're trying to evaluate. I know that didn't make sense, but that's pretty much how my mind works as I continue to refine my understanding. So if you ask me that question a month from now, I'm going to give you a more congruent, concise answer that you can actually understand.
No, I mean that was fairly understandable. I've looked at AI before and how it does stuff, so it wasn't all completely new. But it is kind of interesting on how magical it seems when it's really just a big. It's like a very advanced autocomplete system.
Yeah, it's a calculator. It's just
Yeah.
calculating the likelihood of the next word to
Yep.
to complete, given what you're asking.
Yeah,
But
and then with like images and all of that kind of stuff, don't they? They basically create a word out of the or a vocabulary out of imaging. And so once you can find a language that you can describe something in, it just becomes the same thing, right? So you generate an image based on I assume like pixels and the prediction of what the next pixel is.
yeah, well, my stuff is only focused on text.
Yeah,
So
but text, like I said, everything. If you can reduce something to a language like text, you can pretty much you can feed it into the same kind of algorithm. So
yeah. So um I've been pretty motivated. I'm interested in coding this up and getting stuck and really solidifying my understanding.
mhm.
And then maybe I could do a shift from like cloud engineer, cloud architect slash mobile engineer, mobile architect to a AI engineer.
LLM engineer.
But something is interesting that I'm really interested in it. I was talking to Odie over the phone yesterday about it. Believe it or not, I'm further ahead of my understanding than he is. Well, just in that one area. But so I would like to extend my business, Bizmonger Incorporated, whatever, to build uh, generative AI solutions for businesses, right? Corporations.
Mhm.
So, for example, AT&T or Walmart or I don't know, John's construction company. And what I know is going to be a challenge is confidentiality. So, can anybody within that organization ask any question that's relative to the business and expect to get an answer, no matter how confidential that answer should be on a need to know basis? For example, should the front desk receptionist be able to use their business AI agent to get the salaries of everybody at the company, or get the salary of the other secretary in another department? Probably not, right? Um, so what's interesting is when we start having private uh, GPTs for business, so that you can pull the data, you could pull conversations and essays and white papers and emails and all this stuff, team chats. When you could pull all this from the enterprise tools that a organization uses, MS Teams, Word documents, SharePoint. When you can pull in all this data for your from your employer or for your organization that you work with, how do you restrict access to confidential information that only the CFO or people in accounting should have access to, but not someone working on the dock or in the on the factory floor? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get the idea of confidentiality or whatever. I don't know how you do all that, but
I mean, I have my thoughts. I think I could think of two strategies that will probably fail. One is one is you have a separate LLM per department, right? Per department of an organization. So you have a separate LLM for everything related to the accounting department. You have a separate LLM for everything related to the shipping department. You have a separate LLM for everything related to research and development department. And then your employees, given their role ID, will have access to a certain department. But then one can argue that even a department can have levels of confidentiality,
Hmm.
right? So maybe we scratch that off. And another strategy may be to, I don't know. Another strategy maybe, I don't know. That's the only strategy I could think of right now, and I think that that's going to fail. I was going to say another strategy is to train the data on confidentiality
Hmm.
classification. But honestly, I don't even know how that would work.
Yeah, I don't know how it would either, because it's predictive. So even if you train it on those levels, I don't need a. You'd have to bring the prediction down to zero for anything that's confidential or whatever. So uh, I don't know. But I'd start off with the basics and just get something working. But it does require
Yeah,
a lot of data. So how
it,
do you?
you would have to classify. You would have to classify the prompts as a multi as confidential, in which there's several attributes for what it means for something to be confidential. So, yeah,
Yeah.
you have to map it to a role. You would have to classify. You have to do machine learning, or you have to train the data on roles, and within your fine tuning, you would have to do classification and assign roles, or yeah, assign roles to classify. I don't know. You have to classify data to certain roles,
Hmm.
and that will
They said that
require training as well.
it
Just
takes a
like,
lot of data, right? Though, so that's the big issue that you'll probably run into with going down this road is you need to have a lot of data for this to work, right? And then you need to classify all that data or mark it up.
I don't think it's manual, but you know,
Oh, it just reads a bunch, then it
it
computes
wouldn't
the probabilities based
it
on
wouldn't
what.
be manual if my thought process is it wouldn't be manual if you have, in your words, hordes and hordes of data
Yeah.
that it can predict.
Hmm.
I
You
don't
should
know.
train it on your. You should train something on your F# code for Beach Mobile, and then have it finish it for you.
But I definitely think that's going to be. I mean, every discovery or every invention, every innovation will come with a new set of problems, and I think this is going to be the first one. In order for this to really be harnessed, you have to take into consideration the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Of course, availability is that's not an issue, and I'm not sure about integrity, but the confidentiality that's the biggest thing that has to be solved for business. if they're going to use this internally.
I think that I mean, I don't know, unless you have a trove of data. I wonder if a real good place to actually get into AI is on that agents front. I don't know if you mean, you know what I mean, but like, you know how if you wanted to write something to create a whole website for you, you have to you create agents that go out and do pieces of it and break down the problem and complete tasks in order. And so you have to have a pretty extensive API to feed it, and it has to know how to learn how to use the APIs, and get positive, negative feedback. Like think of superstructures over AI rather than down to the LLM. Because I don't know, man. There's a lot of LLMs out there. I don't know how you I guess compete for what's the thing. But I think that on the application front, there's probably a lot of whatever. You could also have it where maybe you train one AI on something and then you train another AI that acts something that evaluates the results of one AI, right? Like a cop or like a HR person. So you have one AI that's like produces a bunch of garbage, and then you have one that says, "No, you can't say this. No, you can't say redact that. No."
I'm not
It
sure.
spits it back.
We need to resurrect Tay.
Oh yeah, Tay.
That's funny.
Yeah, we need more comedic use of AI. Maybe it can write
Have you
bills for us.
have you ever messed around with Python.net?
Yeah.
This dude is a Fruit Loop. He
Yeah, it's
has a
been a
pink.
while, but
He has a pink helmet.
hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's
that's
been a
not.
while, but yes, I have.
Um, is it fully baked? Is it considered done? Are
I
they still maintaining it, which could be
no.
interpreted as it's done? Or
I mean, I would just look at the.
I ask because OpenAI provides their pre-trained models to basically reduce the computing cost of building a LLM.
I don't know why you would use Python.net, but
Because I don't want to spend a weekend learning Python
well,
and then
Python.net you like that just like embeds Python, so
I
you'd still
thought
have to learn Python.
my understanding was Python.net lets your .NET code interrupt with Python.
Yeah, it does, but you still have
Yeah,
to write a
so
fair amount of Python to actually do the interact stuff, I believe.
that's not my understanding. My understanding is you can call a library in Python using .NET. So if there's a a Python library called
Yeah, I
calculate,
get it. Yeah,
then in theory I should be able to call my Python library dot add, and it should
yeah,
just
you
work.
could write a wrapper around it, but you still need to know basically how to, like what you're doing within Python, though, I believe. Um,
I hope not.
Python, dude, is so easy to learn. I wouldn't even worry about it.
I don't like it's for loop constructs.
This for loop super like it's super like relatable though. It's not. It's like the easiest thing.
And plus, I like static. I like static types. I like compiling.
Well,
I like writing my type declarations up front, and then having my interpreters as a second phase. I like doing that stuff.
yeah,
I don't
I
do it at
suppose.
work because I'm condemned to using C sharp.
And you don't make all your types up front with C sharp? No, because types are so expensive to make in C sharp. It really is. If you try to go down that route, it
I
really
rarely write
is.
interfaces in C sharp. I was pretty smart. I wrote some Egyptian hieroglyphics like 2 days ago. I had an 87 file pull request. They did not like me.
I have one of those here in the next few weeks.
You want to know why it was 87 files? Because I hate looking at code, see opportunities to clean it up, and say, no, that's not related to my feature. Like, F that, man. Like, if I see an opportunity to get rid of some unused import statements and delete that out, or delete the private declarations for members and methods, I hate seeing explicit, like, private modifiers. I just delete it.
I don't know. I would not be. I'm not against explicit private stuff, but
I don't want to see any more text than what I'm required to see on the editor.
yeah, I think there's a. I like it because it creates symmetry with other ones. So in terms of if you're gonna have some that are private and some that are public, having them all be consistently follow the same pattern.
You don't think that you don't think that a modern language you should assume that the state and the behavior that it has, you have to explicitly make it public, else no one can see it.
What do you mean?
Philosophically, if you write code, it's going to be private with the exception of
Mm-hmm.
classes, unless you explicitly say that this is open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it, versus quote unquote being consistent with explicitly saying private,
Well,
because
yeah, but
you
it's just
explicitly because you already explicitly say that things are public. I'm saying, well, let's assume that everything is going to be private unless I explicitly say that I'm allowing this to be observable to the public.
yeah. What I guess what I'm saying is that it creates a that creates some asymmetry with the code you're looking at. But I mean, I could see it the other way too. I don't know. You're going to declare something static. You don't have to. I don't know what you can. You actually declare something not static? Is there a default like explicitly say this is not static? Is there a keyword for that? So like for instance, like
I don't think so.
in C, there's a storage class, I believe it is, and it's always set to auto if you don't specify, but you can specify register or whatever. I think it's been a while since I've looked at it, but it's like there's a default, but there's a way to explicitly write that this is not, you know,
That
those
wouldn't
things.
drive you crazy if you were forced to declare a class non-static explicitly?
Would it drive me crazy?
That would
No.
drive me crazy.
Yeah,
Or
maybe less
think about
typing is
it.
better.
You have to say public, non-static, unsealed class, my class.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, there is no
And
not
then
static.
not non-abstract, right?
Yeah,
Non
concrete.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I wish that C sharp would do is create a constructor keyword for a constructor, so you don't have to type the name of the freaking thing.
You do. You have shortcuts. It's CTR in Visual Studio.
Well, no, that's a autofill though, right?
What are you saying? You're just saying have textual shortcuts in code?
So instead of saying like public, so you have like an animal class, right? And then you do
Okay.
public animal open parent and closed parent. That means it's a constructor because it's basically a method with no return type and the same name as the whatever. Well, I don't know why you have to retype the name over and over again. Why don't you just have an explicit constructor keyword? And I think that this exists in.
Is that what Python is with self or whatever?
No, it's more like the init part of.
Well,
So I think JavaScript has a constructor keyword, and this is one of the things that I like is that way. That's how it's structured.
well.
So yeah. Anyways,
I'm
fried this morning.
I'm trying to figure out if how F# does constructors. I can't remember.
Constructors in F#. It looks like it's structured like a C#. Like how C# added primary constructors. That's what it looks like.
Where's Gambler at? Is he boycotting?
I don't know. Yeah, it looks like primary constructor type setup, but yeah, I would like. I wish that you didn't have to type all that out. You could just type a little keyword, and it just expands to be a constructor then. Because there's no reason you have to type out the damn name of the class over and over and over again for multiple constructors. I guess primary constructors help a lot with that for small ones, but
I hit trees like Sonny Bono. Oh no. Have you ever do you read books? I forget.
I listened to them. I have read them.
Have you ever listened to The Art of Motor? Yeah. Is it The
No.
Art? You know what I'm about to ask?
Yeah.
Motorcycle maintenance.
Yeah. No, it's been recommended before. I haven't read that one yet.
I listened to it a long time ago, and I think it's like two halves to the book. The first half was interesting. The second half, I didn't understand. And then I was working out yesterday, and I was listening to interviews of the author.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so weird. Who works out listening to people interviewing the author of the Art of
Probably more
Motorcycle?
people than you think.
Most people like work
It's a
out to
podcast. People
yeah,
that
but most
work out
people
the
work out to
podcast, don't
like
they?
heavy metal or hip hop. Scott
What would be
Nimrod,
the weirdest
he
thing?
works out to
Hardcore porn. You
interviews
listen
of 80-year-old authors about the art of motorcycle maintenance. That has nothing to do with maintaining a motorcycle. It has everything to do with, at least the first half, philosophy on what is quality.
Mm. Yeah, I should probably listen to that one. Maybe I'll put that on my Audible. I
Yeah,
don't know.
for
The
sure.
only physical books I try to I would buy now are like pattern books because then it's like a catalog, and it's like, oh, there's a
You know, I got rid of
you
most
want
of
to open
those.
up and
Is that the enterprise patterns one?
this one, yeah,
Yeah, I think I got rid of most of mine.
I like that one. The integration patterns one, the design patterns one.
Yeah.
The rest of them, like, man, I don't know that there's any, like, I wouldn't go and read much of the books unless it's like I said, like that one where it's a reference and you can just open up to a particular pattern and explore it a little bit. That's really nice. But
A book that people would never consider. Um, it's in my top 10 for technical books, and no one would ever guess it. It's the Microsoft Patterns and Practices for Prism 4.0. I know it seems very, very like vendor product specific, but that book really exposes some patterns for UI development
hmm.
outside of it being Prism. It it's a really well thought out book, regardless of the product that it's quote unquote targeted for.
Mm-hmm.
The concept of modules and catalogs, and
What's the catalogs concept?
I'm gonna struggle to tell you verbatim. So from what I can remember, give me a second. A catalog from what I remember. Dude, I can't remember anymore. I thought it was a configuration file for dynamically loading um, libraries of views instead of loading everything at one time, especially for large enterprise applications that can have 100 views in it. You have like this dynamic loader that relies on the catalog that you pass in the
Okay.
catalog ID, and then from what I remember, I might be butchering this. You pass in like a catalog ID, and then it loads in a UI module. So, and that UI module can be in number of views and or view models anchored to it. And this could be relevant for mobile. Well, mobile like 10 years ago when there was like Windows 10 and stuff. Not Windows 10, Windows Phone. But still, the book was well thought out, and it had me thinking very differently about building mobile applications or just building native applications in general.
Interesting.
You ever get annoyed, or maybe you're
Yes.
one of them,
No.
when instead of just doing things the vanilla way, people are obsessed with trying to use a framework,
Oh,
and that framework may solve one piece. It may solve like 10 to 15% of what's needed, but then you're like constrained to appeasing the framework for everything else, which you have to like add more like boilerplate, for lack of a better term. Or are you in that camp where you're all about, whatever framework, even though it may be harder to test or more challenging to write tests?
I generally don't. I mean, it depends on what it is, right? Like if I was trying to generate like a
Prism.
PDFs, right? I'm not going to do that myself. I'm not going to write up my own library for it or whatever. I'll use a library. And yeah, you'll have to bend to that library's will because it's just a very complicated problem.
No, I'm talking about like an MVVM framework.
Oh, okay.
Like Prism. What was another one? I can't remember.
I mean, Vue. We're using I use Vue in the front end, and that's a very. It's not very opinionated. It's compared to some of its brethren, but I mean, you have to use it the way that it was meant to be used. I know on the back end, though, like there's libraries that I don't like. I've used them before, and I've realized that I really hate them. Is like AutoMapper. AutoMapper.
Is that and Dapper the same thing?
No, they're totally different. AutoMapper takes would map like a domain object to a DTO or vice versa, right? So it does all the mapping logic for you, and it does what it does really well, and it's a great library for very small projects where you have a pretty well defined problem. But man, as soon as you get into like any sort of complexity and you have a system that needs to change over time, it becomes problematic because you're introducing a dynamic element to what is otherwise a static thing. So there's things like, where does this property get referenced, right? And if you're using AutoMapper to map it, you lose half your references because it's all hidden behind the mapper, right? So you don't know. You're just like, oh, there's no references to this. Well, no, it's actually mapped in 100 different places because AutoMapper is mapping it to these DTOs. And so like your ability to find references goes away. And then the other thing that happens is that because you're introducing a dynamic element, you have to write write tests, like mapping tests around it. Like just to test that something gets mapped like in and out correctly.
Mm.
Now they have like there is like a built-in thing that verifies that every property is accounted for, but it's just not great. So
Yeah, my issue with Prism was it somewhat encourages you to include your view models in the same library as your views.
mhm.
And I'm the type where like when I write uh, when I write automated tests, it's easier for me to isolate my view models in a completely different library, or else my automated tests are going to require to pull in all the UI frameworks, and it should really be independent of frameworks. And it just makes things hella complicated because now I have to load in like 20 different NuGet packages just to support the UI layer when I'm not interested in it. And for whatever reason, I consistently fail to convince peers that I'm working with to that that's not a good idea and to have the view models in a separate project or library.
Yeah, it should probably be in like a core library or whatnot because
And
it's
they're
your
like, but no, but that's the MVVM way of doing things. I'm like, it's not. It has nothing to do with MVVM. It's I want to be able to test this. Can You need to be able to test this. So do it your way, but I need to see tests. And if you can't test, then we're gonna have an issue. So you sure you want to go that route? And then of course they I'm not able to get. I can't write the test. Can we just move past it? No, nope, nope. I told you this. I literally had this argument like 3 years ago.
hmm, yeah.
And he was a rock star developer too. Well, he was an industry recognized developer.
Yeah, on the other hand, like a library like Mediator, I really like though. That library, man, and I love the
We
way
use
it.
that at my job.
Mediator,
Yeah.
I really like it
I
because
mean,
I don't know, man. If you like, it helps break up the or well, it helps you from having controllers in ASP that have these like massive set of services that you have to inject. And then the other thing it does is that it makes it so that you can focus on a single unit at a time. Every command becomes like a individualized unit rather than having a service with a billion different things on it. You've got one, command or one query or whatever that you can think about and test and look at in isolation.
yeah,
It's
I
the
didn't.
same as having like almost like having a view model in a
Yeah,
different
yeah, I
area.
didn't know about it. I knew nothing about it until this job.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorite ones. Just because of the way that it structures, like I think about code is, um, everything's a command, and these are the entry points into your application or a query, and you just write them one offs rather than. And it's just about the isolation to single files that I like, and being able to define the request and response within that single file rather than having like one file. Here's your service with a bunch of stuff, and then you have a folder full of models that uses. No, it's just all together packaged up in one thing. So you do all your transactional object, interact with your domain model, and then all in one spot, and they're all segregated and clean. Man, I miss it. I miss it. So,
Where did it go?
oh, my new job. Like, I've brought it in, but like I'm shy about really going deep on it because there's people are kind of skeptical, even though I know it's like a way better way of doing it.
Are there people more senior than you at your job?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And at least in I don't. Yeah. Might be the same like duration of work, but they're definitely more. I'm not a big fish, I guess.
Hmm.
And right now, I feel like I'm just totally, utterly failing at what I'm doing because I have a fairly significant bit of work that I'm working on, and it's just like it's a hard problem, and I'm just not making traction on it like I want it to be.
Is this UI centric or back end?
It's a full stack thing, so
Which part are you having a problem at? The UI part or the back end?
it's just the scope of it. I know what I'm doing. It's a big like without giving too much away, it's a big. Here's how we did it, and here's how I think we need to structure it to be effective. And from getting from A to B requires you to have a pretty extensive knowledge about how everything works, and it changes the paradigm and it does all this other stuff. So it's just like, I don't know. We've got I don't even know what I would compare it to. It basically it's like a remodeling of the way that certain structures are, and it's. But I'm trying to leave it so that the existing structures are in place, so we don't have to rewrite the whole world. It's just limited in scope, but it's I don't know. It's freaking taking me forever.
Would they fire me if I submitted an 87 file pull request at your job?
No, I think we just had like a 240 some file one yesterday. So
Really?
yeah.
They just rubber stamped it.
No, it's not rubber stamped, but I mean they did a review, but I mean
Are you guys pretty
we
mature?
tend to move fast.
Are you guys pretty mature with your with automated testing?
I would say we have them, so that's good. We've got a team.
Do they run?
Yeah, no, they run. They run as part of the pipelines and all that.
Okay.
So it's fine. And that's another thing. Like I'm doing all this work, and it's like I need to get to the point where I know it's going to work, and then I can write tests. But then by that point, it's going to be freaking a massive amount of tests I would need to write because it touches everything. So it's I don't know. It's yeah. I don't know. I'm under a lot of stress right now, so with it, but it's what
I haven't watched the Uncle Bob video in probably like 5 years.
That's because he got canceled.
Did he?
Well, sort of. You can still like interact with him on X, anyways, but
what did they cancel him for? What did he do?
Because he's conservative.
Oh.
And he doesn't immediately follow under the Trump is bad train. Like he's a actual thinker.
Let me look up Uncle.
He's not woke, I guess is the way to say it.
I'm so worth looking. I'm so glad Kamala didn't get elected, man.
Yeah.
I hope all the stuff that I see when I go outside my crib starts to recede.
Yeah, I forgot he just released a new book.
Why is Uncle Bob so hated in the programming community? That's the first thing that showed up when I Googled his name. That's something that you don't want to show up when people Google your name. I say you can. People think that his books are overrated. People disagree with his technical opinions generally. People disagree with his views on leadership and team dynamics. People disagree with his social views and want to be associated with them by don't want to be associated with them by recommending him.
Yeah, it's mostly that last one. It has nothing to do with like his technical whatever. People have problems with every technical like opinion, right? That's not new. It's really and nobody gets hated for it or disliked or whatever. It's all about his personal, which are like he's a middle of the road guy. Like it used to be kind of normal to be, and there's a lot of conservative programmers, so I don't really know.
I thought you said he just came out with a book.
He did. Yeah, I was saying that.
When did it come out?
We programmers. I don't know.
You don't know when it came out, but it just came out.
Well, it came out within the last year or two. I know that. I'll find it. We programmers here.
I hit trees like Sonny Bono.
It's more of a history book, though.
From Cleveland to Toronto. He has... dude has like 200,000 followers.
Well, yeah, a lot of them are probably people that left for Blue Sky or for Mastodon or whatever.
My wife went out with friends, so I poured a healthy brandy and then watched Judgment at Nuremberg. Great star-studded movie, tough to watch.
It came out on November 30th, So it's been out for 20 days or 20 some days. You hit trees like Sunny Bono. Building. Well done.
Tree is a metaphor for or slang for marijuana. I just completed it. Well, he's not
No.
finish my class. Well, I don't do drugs, so I didn't think you did drugs either, so I didn't know.
I have an edible. I mean, it's legal in Minnesota, so I'll have an edible from time to time. And obviously, I drink, which is a drug, and I have caffeine, which is a drug. So literally, coffee. It's just drinking drugs.
He acts like a chick. He just posts things that he's doing.
Who?
Uncle Bob.
What do you mean?
I settled in with a glass of rock and rye and put LED Zeppelin 5 in my AirPods. Glorious.
Yeah.
That's what a chick does.
Engaging.
They tweet what they're doing as if people care because they need that.
I'm making biscotti.
I hate people that take photos of their food and drinks at restaurants. Like it's annoying, dude.
Well, I don't know. There's a audience.
If you're not a chef or you're not someone that literally has a hobby of going to different restaurants and experiencing each restaurant. I'm not talking about like I don't get it, man. I hate I should have been born in the 1800s. No, I F that. I should have been born like I don't know, in the days of Sparta.
I wish I was born in the 80s. Or I was born in the 80s. I wish I was born in like the 60s.
I wish I was born with Adam.
There.
I wish I was born with Adam.
Because then I could have been there at the computer revolution time when programming was simple and you didn't have ESLint that takes freaking forever to. Dude, I hate freaking modern tooling. I hate it. Well,
Visual Studio's on point.
Visual Studio is good. Like I like Visual Studio. I miss it so much. Visual Studio Code and is for at least for C# development is nasty, and like the whole JavaScript like tooling chain is just annoying to deal with. It's just painful. It's all just painful. It's like I don't know, man.
We programmers, the Chronicle coders from Ada to AI.
Ada Lovelace.
Well, it looks like he did a live stream. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's this? Let me share my screen.
I think Gamler must be out this week.
I'm trying to share my screen. Hold up.
You know what you should do is build a streaming
application,
system
including
like
game applications, where the sub-millisecond stuff doesn't really matter, like all the configuration stuff, and you know
anything to do with the UI.
Anything to do with the UI.
He's looking old.
Yeah, I always love talking to Bob. So let's dive into the framework thing. Dan, you're the one that brought this video to me, so I'm going to let you kind of set the stage, and then Bob can defend himself vigorously.
I'm going to listen to this while I work. The problems with using frameworks featuring.
To be honest, I don't even know how I found the video. Maybe it just popped up in my time.
I'm actually going to listen to that probably in another 20 minutes.
JavaScript Jabber. I wonder how Charles Max Wood's doing. I kind of lost track of him once Entree Programmers ended.
Hold up, he's the fruity one?
What? No, that was someone else. Charles Max Wood's more of a conservative guy.
You think I'm toxic?
Are you toxic?
Am I toxic? Do I have toxic masculinity? I mean, I looked outside my window, saw a construction worker wearing a pink helmet, and I'm like, man, this dude is freaking sweet. He had a whole bunch of other things going on.
See, I just literally wouldn't care about that. Like,
I hate when people invade my view.
Whatever.
F that. I value what my eyes can see, and I don't want things that are distracting or is it untasteful or distasteful, right?
Sounds right.
I don't want things that are distasteful in my view. Just get out of my view.
No, I mean, I don't think it's any more toxic than anyone else. Why would toxic masculinity? Like literally, like women will do the same thing. Sit there, look out their window, and who's that? What are they?
Gossip. Yeah.
Who is that?
What do you call it when you snitch and then you get paid money when they
you get
successfully?
Stitches.
No, like when you well, no, like like they have a hotline, and then you call, and then you may get like $50 or $100 reward that led to the arrest of someone that
Well, I don't know if there's a name for that specifically.
Yeah, when Trump takes office, man, I'm going to be leading, and basically it's a whole bunch of migrants that work across the street from me on these buildings. I'm just going to be calling every morning like, hey, they're here again. There's some more. Come and get them. They're waiting.
Make Home Depot parking lots great again.
There's a lot of Haitians and South Americans that work on these condominiums. They man, that's free money, man. Ever since that condo collapsed across the street from me and killed like 100 people, like the city or the state or the county, maybe it's the state. Would it be the county? Who would enforce like code like that?
All of the above, but mostly the county, probably.
You do not want to be a condo owner near the beach, and your condo is more than maybe 20 years of age. These people have been working on the same building for more than 6 months, and it's usually about 12 of them.
Well, if they went with union labor, they'd probably get be there for a month only. Maybe it is union labor.
They've been working on the same building. This building is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This building is approximately 12 floors. And 1, 2, 3, 4. What's 12 and 4? Is that 48? I think I'm missing something.
Yeah, no, that's 48.
So there's likely approximately 50 units in this building. They've been working on this for 6 months, and they're just patching they're patching the balconies of each unit. They've been there for 6 months. What was this? Who up is this? Paging me at 8:26 in the morning. Crack it dawn.
And now I'm yawning. It's my pop from. Sorry, I can't do that one. You can do that verse. I can't do that verse.
Yeah, I gotta get ready for work.
From the barber shop. Yeah.
I didn't know you were a hip hop fan.
I like all music. Although I was starting to from some stupid reason pick up Kendrick Lamar suddenly. But maybe I won't get too far into him.
I don't really know too much about him. I'm sure I heard his music before, but I don't know.
Although I've been listening to Kanye West for like the last couple of days for some reason, but just the same song over and over again.
Which one?
Power.
How's that go?
It goes, no man should have all that power.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was looking for, because I was listening to this song called Rag and Bone. Is the Rag and Bone Man is the name of the band, but it's called Human. You're like, I'm only human after all.
You know what movie that's from?
Don't put your blame on me. No.
You know what movie that's from?
Creed?
No man should have that much
Oh.
power.
No, is it? It's from like a superhero one, isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
What is it from?
Have you ever been fascinated with my memory? Watch this. Like I am goddamn trivia. I
go on Jeopardy.
Watch this.
Go on Jeopardy.
Maybe.
It'd be fun. Why not? You can do it. Just go and apply.
I know a lot of worthless information.
Yeah.
Watch
there you
this.
Go. No man should have all that power.
Oh, my bad.
Now let's disperse this mob.
Is that Denzel?
Yeah.
People in the back like, what the are they doing? Oh, they're military.
That's too much power for one man to have.
Yeah, so I butchered the quote, but that's what I thought about.
No, I think that this was played on a I think it was on a movie or something like that.
Man, that's an exaggeration. You really think
Black Adam?
You really think you could get that many black people to be that structured and disciplined without being in the military? It's not going to happen. So.
But yeah, anyways.
All right, Sean, it's been real.
Yep. All right. Get
to
work, man. Have a good Christmas next week.
I think I'm about doing a road trip to maybe Orlando or something. Maybe tomorrow morning on my motorcycle. We'll see.
Where's Jeopardy filmed? You should go on Jeopardy.
If it's in Florida, it would likely be in West Palm. I always thought Wheel of Fortune was filmed in West Palm, but we discussed this already, and you said it's filmed in multiple locations.
It's in California, Culver City, California. How to apply for Jeopardy?
Well,
be on J. That's great. What? That's funny.
I don't even know what that means.
I
gotta go though.
Yep. All right. See you. Bye.
See ya. Bye.